And welcome to the Urban Experience Committee meeting. We're going to get started with approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those approve?
Aye.
All those? Now I'm all
It's the last one. It's the last one. Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes passed. Well, this is going to be a great way to start a meeting. We've got Steve McDonald here, and he's going to talk about permit numbers and all sorts of fun data. And Steve, I got you down for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that works. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Council. And Stephanie is here too, which is critical because some of these numbers are right off the press, so she's been working on them. So today we're going to be talking about year-to-date and November permit numbers and residential units and what we have in the pipeline, which is kind of something we started recently. All right, first slide. So on the first slide here, this is kind of a new slide. I don't believe you've seen these before, which we talk about all permits. A lot of times we're talking about just construction permits, but we're missing a whole element of trade permits and other types of permits like plumbing, electrical, HVAC. So I thought it was important to capture this information. And we're still working, I will say this, for a while until we actually get it accomplished. We really are working hard on getting Excella to be able to report out the kind of information that we all need on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and it's a real struggle. But we are working on it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll be very happy when that, and so will Stephanie be very happy when we're able to pull that information easily. Bottom line here, it shows a high level of permits. We're way above our 4-year average in total permits. And then the next slide takes it to the November level. So you'll see that repeating here. We're going to do year-to-date and then November specifically. So again, this is still an increase over our 4-year average on all permits. And then moving forward, now we're getting to the numbers that you see more regularly, which is construction permits. And you can see that we're considerably above that period for the last 4 years. On November, we are just about even, basically, for construction permits. Next slide takes us to a shift to housing units as opposed to actual permits. So these are housing units, and we have multifamily housing units permitted or issued, an 83% increase over the last 4 years. What's noteworthy is that in 2021, I think we have mentioned this before, that 2021 there was an energy code change at the beginning of the year. So I think that accounts for a certain number of both single-family and multifamily permit activity early in the year last year. But we're still above in multifamily. And then moving forward, just to breaking that down into building types. You see the building types here. Single-family is remaining relatively even over the last 4 years. Duplexes, we expect to see more of that duplex activity come in as the BOCA law was passed. And then multifamily, we are at a fairly high number. So if you look at this 743 at the far right, total number of residential units, you see we're above the previous 2 years, 2019 and 2020, but not as high as 2021. Again, I think that's due to the fact that we had that energy change, and so there was a rush of permit activity that came in. And then moving down to breaking it down for November. So this is one where you see a stark difference on the graph, not so much in actual numbers, but this is November multifamily housing units permitted or issued. The issue here is that I believe this is a timing factor because a multifamily unit building of 100 units or something would turn this around. And we just had one, the Iron Bridge project, submitted their permits on Friday. So we'll have to watch this. My concern initially when I looked at this was that the inflation and interest rates were having a significant impact, but we have not seen that yet. And I don't think this is indicative of that issue. This is kind of a wait and see how December goes. And that's November multifamily units. So then breaking that down in November, you see the same breakdown we just showed you year to date. Multifamily, duplexes, and single family. And then next, single family housing units permitted, basically even, 3% down, but very close to the numbers of single family homes over the last 4 years. And what's important about the 4 years is we're trying to capture pre-COVID. We want to go further and further back, but we're having to review those numbers to make sure they're accurate. There was a lot of misreporting that we found, or miscalculating the numbers in the previous years, but we feel pretty comfortable about going from 2018 on forward. So that's the reason for those years. And then the same breakdown for November. Actually an increase over the 4-year average, but we're within that realm of the last few years in single-family housing units. And then, let's see, the next one is breaking that down. Single-family residential units currently in plan review. So this is something we introduced at the last time we got together, which really is important in the sense that it's telling you which projects are in the pipeline. And when we say in the pipeline, that can be anything from a pre-development meeting where they're submitting, and they have to submit a form which details their number of housing units and what they're planning to do. And then also MFTE requires an application before you even submit your permit. So the idea here is trying to capture those MFTE projects and the pre-development projects that have not yet submitted. And the significant issue here is, just like the last time I came forward to you guys with this information through October, we have about 1,200 units that are currently in plan review, which is significant. So that's even beyond pre-dev and beyond MFTE. They've gone through those processes likely, and now they've actually submitted. So that's 1,200 units. And then the even bigger number, which is hopeful in the future, which is through pre-dev and MFTE applications, we have 2,700 units in the pipeline.
How many of those are on the 195 corridor? Any of them?
Multifamily, I don't know, very few, because
Okay.
there's not a lot of multifamily zoning there. So I think the overwhelming majority is through the
elsewhere.
rest of the city, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Steve, I appreciate the units. Do you have any dollar amounts that go with the increase in this development that we can kind of get our head
Yes.
around?
Yes, and we have a slide here which will talk about some of
All right,
that.
thank you.
Any other questions on this slide? So you read the mind of our order we put this in. So this has the construction valuation over at the end. These are some of the significant pre-development projects that have come through. And then moving forward, there is, there's the next slide. Yeah, no problem. And then the biggest projects currently in plan review with the dollars associated with that. And we also have the units there. You can see that there's 887 housing units currently in plan review. And this, if they don't have housing units, it's because it's a commercial or industrial or retail project. But we have that information also, Councilwoman, we have that information at any time for the total month or total year, and can provide that if you'd like it. Is that it? And then this one is the largest projects by construction valuation. At the top, it's year-to-date, and then just the largest ones in November are there as well. And you should have this information if you have questions or want to look at it, and let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions on it. Yeah,
No,
Lori.
Somewhat to Mr. Cathcart's question, is there a way for us to get information on permits in the 195 area, not just 195, but Grandview as well?
I will ask about how we can break that down. I'm sure maybe through mapping we could figure that out. But ultimately, you're looking for what was permitted, issued, or reviewed?
Or in the pipeline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can work with Tammy on that. I know that there was only 1 or 2 developments that were actually far enough through the process that the moratorium was not impacting them. So,
Okay.
but I'll get with Tammy on that.
And then tangentially, Tuscan Ridge, I don't know if you're familiar with that at
No.
all, but apparently that's going up for auction. That was an issue way back when because it was unstable soils and so forth. The plan initially was for 100 units to be platted there, and it's right where Hatch Road and, where the golf course is.
Yeah.
It's going to be somewhat controversial. I want to make sure we keep our eye on that,
Right.
too.
Okay. Okay, will do. Any other questions? Yes.
Are we kind of maintaining any sort of estimate in terms of what our rate of growth is, kind of the in-migration? And are we well exceeding that in terms of how much housing is getting built?
I know that there was some information that I saw that talked about how the city of Spokane, or the county actually, not so much the breakout for the city, the county was absorbing the most population growth of any county in the state.
Yeah, it's been huge.
Yeah, and so linking that to units, I have not done that yet, but that's
Okay.
something we could take a look at.
I just think it'd be great to kind of, if it's something that we can measure on an ongoing basis
Right.
and get a sense for, it'd be good to just to know that we're exceeding it at
Right.
least in terms of our housing. So
Yeah, I think the most encouraging thing lately in the last few months has been that we haven't seen any huge drop-off right now, so that's positive on either single-family homes or multifamily. And in fact, multifamily is almost, actually, year-to-date, it's at a record number right now. And then the fact that the projects are still coming forward, that's no guarantee if you come to a pre-development meeting or sign up for an MFT. It's no guarantee you're going to actually go forward with your project. If we have a recession, certainly that's going to be an issue. But that is encouraging because those numbers of units are significant when you're talking like almost 3,000 units.
Yeah.
So that's been the encouraging thing. But we'll look to see if we can tie the numbers of our units that are actually being done to the population growth.
thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bingo.
Yeah, so we've taken some big swings as a council, and I think the staff has done a great job of trying to foster a more friendly environment for developing and
Right.
getting units built. Are there a couple things in your mind where it's like these actions that we took have inspired this, record number of units?
Yeah, I think that expanding the MFTE, which you did as a council, basically you expanded the 12-year program citywide. I think that has made a difference and will make even more of a difference when more people find out about it. I'm still surprised that some developers are not even aware of that. But in a sense, you took a very narrow area centered around centers and corridors and expanded the 12-year opportunity to build housing that has affordable in it to anywhere in the city. So I think that over time will have an even bigger impact, but I think that's probably a portion of what we're seeing in the increase in multifamily units.
And do we have any outreach efforts to get to the different, general contractors in the area of like, hey, 12-year now got expanded, get on it? I mean, is there any way that we can reach
Yeah,
out?
I think we need to be rethinking how we do that, and we've come up with some new lists that include both developers and contractors, and I'd like to do more of that. It's a staffing issue and a time issue, but maybe there's ways that we can work smarter about that, about promoting that.
Are there ways that we can help you accomplish that? What can we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideas you have, pass them along. I'm open to attending things, but just the way I think we can get out to the most number of people is maybe just finding a way that's more efficient to get it out there rather than just attending meetings, because that is kind of how we've worked in the past.
Yeah, and I guess if I could, one last question. So with this, huge increase in in the number of units, what we're asking staff to accomplish in a timely amount, in a timely period,
Right.
is that possible? Because one of the things that I hear from folks is like, we're glad that you're doing this, and now
Right.
it's taking some time to get through things.
Right.
What are the ways that we can equip you
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah?
I think our staffing is an issue, but we also are looking at ways that we can streamline so that we can do more with less. There's permitting issues that we can not be as involved in a certain permit. There's a number of things that we're looking at. But again, it's all about prioritizing and trying to find a way to work better and more efficiently.
Yeah, with what we've got.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And we'll talk more offline on that because
Yeah.
I'm curious of that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. Where am I at? Tyler Kimbrell is going to come up. We're going to have an overview of the proposed bicycle parking code update.
Thank you, Chair and Council. Sorry, I didn't bring this up.
I love that picture.
Good afternoon, Chair, Council members. My name's Tyler Kimbrell. I'm with Planning Services. For those of you I don't know, I've been here since February this year. I'm going to give you a brief introduction into a project that we'll be kicking off in January 2023, and with the proposal end date of spring 2023. So briefly, why update the bicycle parking requirements? The bicycle master plan and the comprehensive plan both outline the need for more bicycle parking throughout the city. We would also like to leverage the city's investment in the new bike infrastructure, including Riverside Avenue, and we have some amazing bike trails across the city. And we are also, creating more plans and receiving grants for transit-oriented development, and bicycle parking is kind of a key element to creating effective TOD. Our bicycle master plan really has three key themes through it related to bicycle parking, and that is that we need to differentiate between short-term and long-term parking, and that we need to target those that are interested but concerned. Those, the ridership that are interested and concerned are people who would bike if there were really good infrastructure in place and felt safe on the streets and had a place to store their bicycle. And third, that we need to increase bicycle parking throughout the city. A comprehensive plan also outlines the need for differentiating between short-term and long-term bicycle parking, and that bicycle parking needs to be included on-site of developments. So what does our code look like now? Basically, we require bicycle parking based on the number of vehicle parking spots that we require. The proposal potentially is to base bicycle parking based on the square footage of the building. There's no differentiation between short-term and long-term bicycle parking in the code as it stands. And again, the potential is that we differentiate between the two. And these are two images here of short-term on the left and long-term on the right. The right is recent development, the Boxcar Apartments on the southern end of the U District Gateway Bridge. And that room is a secured facility for the residents to store their bicycles. So this was just a brief introduction to it. There's a lot to come, and this is the kind of outline of that. So in January, we're going to be kicking off with a public advisory group consisting of developers, community advocates, bicycle advocates, et cetera. We'll be going to Bicycle Advisory Board, Community Assembly. We'll be hosting public meetings to inform and receive feedback. And we'll also be going to Plan Commission for a workshop and hearings before coming back to council for consideration, likely spring 2023, around May, end of April. So we have a website. Currently, it's pretty bare bones because, again, this is just starting and we really plan to kick it off in January. My contact information is there. There's QR code to the webpage, and we'll be providing kind of a draft outline, presentations, a whole host of things on the webpage. As for now, I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, is this going to be mostly focused on residential, or is there a commercial component, or all of the above?
So it's both.
Okay.
So it'll be affecting commercial, residential, office. What I didn't touch on here is that currently we base bicycle parking on our zoning, and there's the potential to base it on land use, just so we can refine it and tweak it more so that residential units aren't getting the same requirements as office buildings or commercial buildings.
And And so will this be something that existing structures will be grandfathered in, or is it going to be retroactive in its enforcement?
Yeah, so the existing buildings, this will likely only be applied for when they do a major renovation or change their use type. Again, this is the only initial processes, so anything that's kind of, I'm saying, is potential.
Sure.
We're going to have to go through refinement with advisory groups until we bring the final product through.
And then just last question, I assume you're specifically reaching out to, I saw developers were up there, but also, building owners, managers, property management folks, all the people who are kind of hands-on with the development or with the buildings and the day-to-day. I think make sure that they're at the table to,
Correct. And
Yeah.
and if any of the council members have suggestions on who we should reach out to, we're more than happy to take that into consideration as well.
happy to do it.
Okay, we have Councilmember Kinnear.
So in the past, we considered substituting parking places for cars with bike parking. Is that anywhere in our code right now? And if not, is it something we can consider? And when I say bike parking, so it's secure parking for apartments or for office or whatever, instead of street park, or for auto parking.
Yeah, and again, our current code doesn't make that distinction with the bike parking, whether it's a secured storage. But yes, we are considering that as well. I think as it currently stands, we allow up to 10% of the vehicle parking spaces to be substituted. And there is potential, I think, to bump that up.
Oh, good, thank you.
Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah. First off, thank you for taking some time the other day and walking me through this. I appreciate it. You had mentioned something, and I kind of want to highlight this. Can you talk about the difference in the number of permanent parking facilities for bikes and temporary, and the differences that you're going to ask of a place like a residential place versus, a retail space or something like that? Can you talk about? It's not going to be one blanket number for every building type in the city. Can you give me a little bit more?
Correct, yeah. In terms of vehicle parking requirements, the actual number, there will be a difference between the short-term and the long-term. Some uses don't require as much short-term as long-term. For instance, residential, potentially, there's more long-term parking requirement with less short-term. Same with offices. You kind of have the long-stay visitors, so you would, employees, so you require more long-term parking than short-term parking. Does that answer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
okay.
just, the requirements aren't going to be the same. Again, residential might have more long-term because you have people who live there and need to store them throughout a night or something like that.
Correct, yeah, and I guess just to go back to, that's why there's potential to base it on land use type or use type rather than zoning. That way we can make those distinctions.
Yeah. And then can you also sort of give us a picture of what the long-term storage looks like as opposed to short-term? So the short-term are those inverted U's, right? Which are better than the waves, I learned.
Yeah.
And then the permanent, you have an image up here as well. But can you sort of define, these are going to be the parameters, these are going to be the requirements for long-term?
Yeah, and
Parking.
again, this is all subject to
Sure.
refinement as we go through the process. Your short term, again, are these kind of inverted U's, really only suitable for those staying short periods of time, shopping, playing, recreating, and then the long term being secured with a locked door or a gate or code, walls, a roof to keep the bikes from being damaged by weather or vandalized or stolen. And those are the kind of key differentiation between the two.
So how do you monitor somebody that's parking in that short term? Is that just, you hope everybody follows the rules and don't keep their bike there for days at a time?
Essentially,
Okay.
yeah. You try and locate them on places that are accessible, that they're going to be seen, highly visible on kind of the sidewalks to ensure that there's no vandalism. But for the short term, and that's why there needs to be that difference between the two.
Yep.
If you're storing your bike for a long time, you really want it to be secured.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one question I'd love to know the answer to, and maybe it could be discussed as part of your process, but just, is there a liability difference if you have a interior storage, secured, et cetera, and something happens? Is your liability different than if it's, say, the sort of temporary outdoor situation. So I think that could be a cost factor that might.
Yeah, I'll take that in consideration. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just thanks again. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Of course.
Yes, thank you. And as you go through this process and you're going to need, or you're going to want to go out and talk to neighborhood councils, let council members know and we can help you navigate some of those neighborhood councils to get you to meetings and talk about this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Piccolo, come on up. Mike is going to talk about the Archbright contract.
Good afternoon, and thank you for getting me onto your Urban Experience Committee. I appreciate that. We are trying
Anything for you.
Thank you. We're trying to get this second contract amendment approved by council right after the first of the year because the current contract with Archbright for the consultant in the HR department expires. The time frame expires in January, and the availability of the consultant, her time starts to run out about the second week. And with a new department head, hopefully, coming on, first part of the year, there's a real concern to make sure we have that consultant available for that first quarter for the new department head to have that person and to keep that workload going because we're still operating with 3 in-house HR analysts. We're recruiting for 2 more, and then we're using this consultant extensively. We're getting our money's worth, that's for sure. And the concern is that we have that person in place again for the first quarter, hopefully with the new director in place to make that transition.
Go ahead.
What's the status on it, hiring a new director?
We did a second recruitment, a little deeper dive this time, came up with some, I would say, again, when you do a deeper dive, you're getting more applicants. And we did a first round of interviews with that group, brought back 2 of them we thought we're very comfortable with for a second round in person. The first one was remote, and the second round was in person. We did that last week. The 2 applicants had a chance to meet with the HR department on an informal basis and then interview with the mayor and city administrator, Johnny Perkins. We're very pleased with the quality of those 2 applicants. And then we'll be waiting for a decision from the mayor's office and bring that resolution forward to the city council for approval. And then we'll work with the HR department, Ryan Couch, who does the recruitment, to get information to the council on that individual, resume, cover letter, job offer letter, things like that.
Thank you.
And that is great that those candidates were able to meet the HR staff.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mike. We
Okay, so
appreciate it.
We'll be trying to get the contract onto the council agenda. I know the next time you meet is January 9th. You're not meeting on the 2nd. So we'll work with the council to try to get that on as soon as possible.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilkerson, we're going to talk about the East Side Library.
Thank you. So we are bringing forth, or I am bringing forth this request for information in the process of the library. A couple of things. There has still been significant confusion in that neighborhood of what's going to happen. I also want to talk about Census Tract 30, which is the whole East Central. As you remember, when the new library was opened, the old one became vacant. Not only is the white population declining by almost 17% in the historically black neighborhood, but also we're seeing a decline by almost 34% of African Americans. But there is significant increase in the Hispanic, up 11%, Asian Pacific Islander, 61%, Asians up 66%. So this is all to say there is a lot of movement in that neighborhood, and we still don't know what the needs are from the people who actually live there. So this is, again, a request for information to go out to see what bubbles up, and so the people have a voice.
Does anybody have questions? Okay, thank you.
This does need a second sponsor to be filed.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Kinnear will.
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. All right, thank you. Jan Cersades, We're going to talk about Office of Homeless Youth Fund distribution to Volunteers of America.
Hi, good afternoon. So we are here to ask to be able to distribute our Office of Homeless Youth dollars from the Street Outreach and Services Grant and the Young Adult Housing Program Grant. The Street Outreach and Services is for $158,910.40, and the Young Adult Housing Program is for $237,325. This was part of our Youth Homelessness Demonstration Grant RFP, where we put all of those funds together. And unfortunately, when we went through that process, we did not ask to distribute these funds. We only asked to distribute the YHDP funds. So here we are today.
Any questions?
Thank
Sounds
you.
great. Thank you. We're going to go to Council President Beggs. I think I've got everything on the agenda taken care of. Council President Beggs his first item is to discuss a resolution.
Yeah, so lots have been happening on the right-of-way initiative in the last few days, and some of us have put together, Councilmember Stratton, Kinnear, and myself, a resolution that would set out city policy on that and make it clear that we're going to focus on the plan that Mayor Woodward and I signed off on as a proposal to Commerce after we had met with the county and Spokane Valley and staff and providers. And it was a plan in response to the $24 million that Commerce was going to make available, but we provided a plan for $34 million because we didn't believe the 24 would adequately take care of the people who we believed were living on the right-of-way. And plus, we all knew there's way more unsheltered homeless people even than there. So it focuses on that, and it also focuses, basically it says, if we're going to really help all the people who are impacted there, neighbors, businesses, people living in the camps, we're really going to have to get back to that plan and get it deployed. There's a lot of housing options that would permanently house people, and they wouldn't need to live in the right-of-way, and particularly in that right-of-way. But we need more money. We need to agree on the final parts of the plan to implement, and we need to agree on where they will be. One of our challenges, of course, has been even if we have funding for housing, there is a reluctance and fear of that housing. And so a lot of the resolution is saying, let's get behind the plan the city already convened. And then the second part and the last part has to do with the rhetoric from some people outside city law enforcement and city legal and our administration of clearing the camp without a judicial order. As it turns out, there was a temporary couple-week order that was in place today about not clearing the camp. But this goes drafted before that was there, and it goes beyond that to say, no, we have a rule of law in this country and we need to follow it. And that generally when we follow the law, we will be helping everyone, including the people who are impacted by that. So we circulated that today. The public hasn't seen it yet. We're getting it up on a website, but the idea would be at the 3:30 session to suspend the rules and add it to our agenda. Councilmember Kinnear.
Stereo. Could you go over the numbers that we talked about and explain why those need to be left in or if they could be taken out?
Yeah, so in one of the whereas clauses, it says, whereas the provision of services to date and other efforts is believed to have reduced the census of the camp from over 600 to no more than 417. There's a lot of debate over how many people are at the camp. I don't know that we know, and so it does say that everyone agrees there's no more than 417. It doesn't say how many people are in the camp. It doesn't make a conclusion on that, and we don't have personal knowledge of it.
And the first number was 600?
Was over
Over six.
that was what's been reported consistently, that at the height of the camp that there were over 600, but we don't know the exact number,
Okay.
but that's the number that's mostly utilized.
Councilmember
So, Council
Wilkerson.
President, I know that has been a challenge that everybody has these numbers. There seems to be lots of different numbers that are floating around out there that there doesn't seem to be any trust in anybody's numbers. So really, whether that's true or not, based on even the 417 or the 220, there isn't capacity as we know it today.
Well, that is my sense, but the language, the numbers are, it's not so much a focus of the numbers on the
Right.
thing. It's simply saying that regardless of whether people are spending every night in the camp, or they're spending every other night, or they haven't been there for a week, they all need housing. And so that's what the point of this is getting the housing, because that solves it, as opposed to just moving it to someone else's neighborhood.
Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah. So we had a good discussion about this today, and I understand the point of it. I think my biggest problem with this is that neighborhood and the impacts in that neighborhood are going to be felt for decades. Well, we've basically sacrificed one neighborhood for the health of the city, and that really bothers me, because what we're not asking the state to do is, for much larger investments. If it's their property that they're allowing people to stay on, if they're not going to be helping to compel people to move out of there, all the neighborhood businesses, which are, lots of people's babies that they've built from the ground up, that is also their retirement plan. The neighborhoods around there being nervous about letting their dogs out because dogs are getting stolen, and worried about letting their kids walk down the streets. What I would like to see in here is some sort of be it resolved. State, please give us another round of funding to help us encourage folks, because basically what this says is, East Central, hey, we're sorry what's going on, but this is going to stay here permanently until we have housing for all of these units. And so if that's the case, then I think that we also need to be asking the state for another $30, $40 million, whatever it is, to get people out of there. If that is the stance that we're taking, then we need to ask the state for another significant investment.
If I might.
Yeah.
We're not saying that it could be there permanently. We're saying it's there until we move people to they're out of there, but it's not a permanent.
But it's a years-long process, because those units don't exist, and it's going to take us some time for us to get permanent housing built. And as we all know, it takes time to get through, and no disrespect to anybody, just the process is what it is. It takes time.
And it might be transitional housing and not permanent housing.
And also, it might be like assisted living. I've been down there where folks are waiting to get a bed or an apartment with assisted living and those kinds of things. I don't know what those numbers are, but that may make a difference too.
Some of those folks aren't just homeless, they're also disabled, so they would qualify for assisted living, or they're elderly, they would qualify for assisted living.
Right. Whatever the adjective is, there's a lack of housing. We need housing in all of these areas. And unfortunately, what that means is if we say, hey, until we have this, then we can't do anything here, again, I think that really continues to hurt that neighborhood.
But we're talking about, I'm sorry, I keep,
Yeah.
we're talking about legally what we can and cannot do. So this isn't about what we want to do, it's about what we legally should or should not do based on the advice from our legal department, based on all kinds of case law. We can't go and clear that camp because we would be sued. And we've already done that. We were sued in 2018. So we settled, but who wants to go through that again? You do, okay.
No. I'm raising my hand to speak again because Councilman Cathcart raised his too.
No, what I think is lacking here, there's a lot here that I disagree with, but what I think is lacking is any sort of urgency for us to do anything as a city, demanding the state, who is really truly the one responsible for the situation, that they step up and do more. In the big picture, 24 million was never going to get us much of anything, and they've spent most of that money, and we haven't got much housing yet from it. So there needs to be this collective effort, collective voice, all of us saying, hey, come in and do more, do something. Let's move quicker on our next tranche of $15.90. Let's just freaking move. It just feels like there's no urgency about any of this, and that we want to maintain the status quo situation and just let the process play out, however long that may take, however slow, however long people are out in these elements. That's just kind of how it feels to me. And I don't think that's right. And then the other piece, and I'm waiting for legal to get me some specific analysis, is just some language in here around what I think is kind of has the potential for a chilling effect on elected officials. And I just want to make sure that that is looked at very closely so that we are not violating our constitutional rights, nor our ability to actually represent our constituents.
Okay, so let's go. Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, and on this again, I hear, not wanting to get sued, and I understand the purpose of this isn't to tackle the entire issue of Camp Hope, right? I get it. That's not the purpose. Its purpose is specifically on clearing that right of way, and I get it. But what that neighborhood desperately needs right now is some hope. I'm just looking for some language that gives them some hope of like, please, state, come on in, continue to partner with us to where we can move this up instead of it being, December of 2023. Maybe it's May of 2023 if we get another investment. That area, again, whether we, want to talk about crime in that camp or not, crime is happening. Crime is being experienced by those folks. Business numbers are being gravely affected. Values are being affected, and those people matter too. And I appreciate our focus on the group that's there. I share the same concerns. What I feel like we forget to do every single time in these resolutions is we forget the neighborhood around it. And that's all I'm asking is that language in here be added to expedite the process to give hope to the surrounding areas.
Okay, so let's go, Council President.
Yeah, I just had a couple of comments. One, I just thank you, Councilmember Bingle, for just the call out on more money. It is called out in one of the whereases. Additional efforts and funding are needed from all partners and stakeholders to ensure that all camp residents are transitioned into the emerging housing beds for them as they become available. That potentially could be also added into the resolved as well, but it is. I mentioned throughout the negative impacts for neighbors and businesses in there too. I agree with you. I think because so much focus is brought on people living in the camp in a negative light, people often are like, no, they're people, they're residents here, and people don't get around to saying what I think is in their hearts and minds is, this is hard for everyone, and it's disproportionate a number in one location. We could spend a long time debating how that grew without the city doing much about it. But I do want to address one thing that, when these people first came, they were relocated from City Hall to there. The state did say, hey, city, take care of this while it was still. And we said, no, we can't under Martin v. Boise. And they're covered by the same thing. So I don't think that the state created this situation because they're under the same legal constraints that we are. I just don't think they did. I am very grateful to the state for coming up with $24.5 million because before that happened, we had no hope at all. And now we do have some hope. But I agree that we need more money from all our partners. We have spent a lot of local general fund dollars from the city on this issue, and we need that from our partners. We could use more from the federal government. We can use more from the state. They seem to have, according to their financial reports, more money coming in than we expected next year. So I'm with you 100% that we need more money. The private sector has offered in the past to come up with money if we came up with a good plan. So my whole purpose is to focus on the good plan so that we can attract the money and get it decommissioned as soon as possible with permanent solutions for the people that are living there. So,
And then I'm going to call on you. I just want to add one thing from what Council President said. If we're going to ask the state for more money, we have to behave better. I have always had some disappointment in the fact that we're given the money and given the direction to work together to get through this, and yet the name calling started, and that I think this community and local government has been pretty disrespectful to the state, given we are creatures of the state and it's their money. So I would just say publicly that, yeah, I'm all for asking for more money, but I would hope we could all get together and behave better and be a little nicer and professional.
Can I just
Oh, but wait, let's get Lori and then you.
And then I'll.
Okay.
And then Jonathan. So I just want to elaborate a little bit. this didn't start with the state. This started with the city closing down a low-barrier shelter. Then it migrated to the front of City Hall, and then it was cleared and migrated to the ROW. So that is the order of things, and we conveniently jump to the state is not doing enough. And I would remind everybody that it's difficult to place people. This is not the Humane Society. We're not dealing with dogs and cats. We're dealing with individuals who have very different, each one of those people has different needs. So to expect that this is just poof magic, it's going to be solved in a couple of months or even a year, I think is not realistic. We're making progress, but it's not going to be quick. It can't. And if it is quick, then I would question whether we're really doing our due diligence and getting people to the services and the places they need ultimately.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Well, I just, in response to what you were saying, Councilmember Stratton, I agree with you. It would be great to work together, but that's not what happened when we got that last tranche from Commerce. There was essentially the mayor's team worked on it, the council president worked on it. We, representing that area, were never even part of the conversation. So to say that we were working together is just not true. And I've never called anybody names. So I would just
No, you've been good.
make that point. But I just think, again, we're back to the urgency. There's just not a lot of it. I think this maintains the status quo. This resolution kind of keeps things as it is. And what's happening now isn't working for anybody. And we know what's going on in the camp. We have all kinds of, and I might even share some of it tonight, but we have all kinds of information as to what's going on in the camp. And this doesn't solve any of that. In fact, it just keeps it the way it is. And that's just my biggest frustration. And to Councilmember Bingle's point, I mean, and I've said it before, I feel like we have set that neighborhood back a couple of decades. I mean, that neighborhood was on the upswing, and then we allowed this to happen. And yes, we've been limited in what the city could do. And yes, I agree, the state has some limitations, but it's the state's property. They own this property. And they have, from time to time, told us, no, we cannot do certain things that we needed to do. And so they have made it harder on us. And so I do think they have a responsibility to help with a solution, especially if they're going to continue to tie our hands in our ability to address it head on. And so, you know, I don't think any of this helps. I don't think any of it is getting us to a solution. I think it's kind of putting everybody in their corners, and we're going to stay there for a while. And we've all got to come together and just execute on a decision. And there's some interesting out-of-the-box ideas. I think you and I have talked about, you know, the county may shut down Geiger. And can we eliminate some of the negative optics of that, but use that as a facility that has all the indoor things that we need to help keep people safe and healthy? And maybe that's an option, but it just doesn't feel like anybody has this urgent desire to fix this and fix it right away. It just feels like we're comfortable letting it just coast as long as it takes. And that is the frustrating part to me.
So I imagine we're going to have a discussion tonight about this as well. Does anybody have urgent comment they want to
I
make?
just have one quick
Just
comment. So I do appreciate East Central has been impacted. How long it takes to rebuild East Central is part of our solution too. But I think there's an issue going on. We are so focused on Camp Hope. If you pay attention, there are camps still popping up all over this city, and we have taken our eyes off of that. And those numbers feed into the Camp Hope numbers. So really, Camp Hope is an easy target. Challenges, that is the size of one of our small towns. Think how you can move a town in 30 days. Just think about that. And we know these are some of our most difficult people to place that have been ostracized from all the other shelters or other opportunities to them. So I know it doesn't feel like a sense of urgency, but we invest in people. It's a long game. And if we don't do it correctly, we'll be right back to where we are right now. Councilmember Stratton, they are working with DSHS to place people in assisted living facilities.
right.
Because I have gotten those phone calls. So there is work going on. Just because it's not our timeline that we want doesn't mean there isn't things going forward. Thanks.
Okay, so real quick,
Yeah, last quick comment, and I hear what everybody is saying, right? Like, we're investing in people. I totally get it. I appreciate that. You know, those people need help. I totally get it. But at the same time, West Hills shows up to say we don't want things in here, and it doesn't go into West Hills. East Central doesn't get that same respect. They are bearing the burden for an entire city. They are bearing the burden for an entire city.
Okay, so this is a conversation that will continue.
I just have to respond to one thing. The West Hills, we just opened the Catalyst building. That's the 100 units, and it's part of the solution for Camp Hope. So I don't think the West Hills, I mean, I think it's I think the Catalyst is a great project. It's going to be way better guests now, facilitated and curated than we're staying there based on what we heard about the rehab of the place. But it is a complete challenge, and I think we do all have to sit down together and figure out where we're going to put housing for everybody.
And when I was at Camp Hope on last week, there were 7 people getting ready to move into the Catalyst, and they had already had some individuals there earlier. So it looks like they're working on those numbers to get more over there. Okay, Dave Steele, you want to come down? This is our last item on the agenda, and it's under consent agenda, under surplus property sale. And I believe Council President had some questions.
Yes.
Yes. So I somehow didn't, it's not in my, well, I guess everything's in my district, but I wasn't on the RERC on this, so and maybe it came to us before. I'm looking like maybe there was a resolution in 2021, so. But could
Yeah,
you?
the work was back there a ways, but yeah.
But we're just trying to figure out, typically nowadays, we have permission from the state if we've got a residence, unless it's a police forfeiture of trying to take property and put it back on the market through our not homeless, but our low-income housing developers like Habitat for Humanity or something like that. So I'm just wondering, was that ever explored, or why would this be or not be a good option for that?
It was not. When we put this through the RERC, the recommendation that came out of that and then that went through on the resolution was just that it would be sold as single family listed for market value because the city is upside down by an additional 25 grand. I think we're about $70,000 in the hole as far as cleanups and mitigations and all those things. So the 50 covers a portion of that, but we did not explore Habitat or any of those for this piece. This developer was right across the street. He had just built a single-family home on the north side of the street. He approached us and went, hey, is that coming up? And we had just processed it through the work. I think it was late 2020, actually, when that went through.
And was there any appraisal on it, or was it put on the market that anyone could bid on it? Or?
What we did there is we just had the broker that we typically use just give us a market number, just a market analysis for an empty lot at the time. And so the 50,000 was, he goes, if you can get 50,000 for a lot that's not, green and square, he said, that's really good. Because there will be a little bit of cleanup left there as far as, prepping it for reconstruction. So we felt very comfortable with the number. That's a pretty, in that portion of town for one single family lot, we thought, wow, that's a pretty significant number.
So I just have to ask again, so this person across the street just came, so there was no outreach, or there was no place on a city website or a county website that this property is available to purchase?
No, as far as the with the RERC, when we bring these properties through the real estate review committee, we typically out of that make a recommendation for how it should be marketed. In that one, it just said offered to adjacent property owners, and then list it with a local broker if there's nobody interested. So like I said, about the same time we came out with it, is the adjacent property owner who had just finished building went, hey, I'll buy that and build another home if that's available for market value. So if to that point, we do have the input from the council, the perfect time for that is when the resolution comes forward to say, oh, we don't want to list this just wide open free market or offer it to the adjoining property owner. We want to actually put it on for Habitat or those things first. So.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess to me it makes sense that if you're upside down in cost, that you would probably look to put that back out on the market. But are there, under our current codes, or anything in there that would give you parameters to say, okay, this is a property where we are going to think about going this other kind of nonprofit route? Land bank with?
There's nothing that requires us to, but like I was saying, when we come out of the real estate review committee, if that's a desire of the council members that, because we try to typically get somebody from council on there, if they go, hey, this is a great one for habitat or low incomers,
Right.
then that just becomes part of the resolution that comes to you to declare it surplus, and this will be the process to then market it. So,
And when you bring it to us, do you provide all those kind of cost analysis for us? Is that in the packet that we
I
get?
certainly can. On something more significant than a single family, 50-foot lot, we definitely do. Now, we're not seeing many of those because there is not a lot of, big old piles of property on our pile anymore. We've kind of cleaned those all out. So, but on something like that, we can certainly bring forward the
Yeah.
market analysis and go, this is what the value is.
I think that would be helpful, because if we're going to be thinking about potentially land banking some of these properties,
Right.
I think it'd be good to have that analysis as part
Great.
of that.
Can
And
do.
that was property in District 3.
Yes.
So Councilmember Zapone and I were part of that meeting, and I think that was,
No, it was District 1. It says East Wabash.
oh, I'm thinking of something else.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you're talking about the one we just did.
Okay, my brain's back there, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just realizing by the date that I was getting over surgery at the time. I wasn't around. I didn't have my antenna up, and it's not my district, so I didn't go to the RERC. But I will just, and I think, the council's already passed the resolution, so I don't think it's appropriate to reopen it. But I will just say to everyone who's here is that state law does allow us to provide property that we have, surplus property, to low-income housing developers, and we don't have to get a dollar from it. It's not public gifting. That is the law. So when you're on your RERC meetings, which is usually by district, know that that's there, and please keep us informed ahead of it so that we could do that. I don't think at this point it's a little too far down the road on this one. So.
And, one of the other things is the RERC committee, when we had a stockpile of properties, we would try and do that about every 6 months. And now it's about once a year, because really it's kind of when they pop up. The one we had isn't even just 2 weeks ago or so, isn't a developable lot until it's made adjoining, tied back to the adjoining property. So there aren't a lot of, plums on the tree anymore. So there will be things that come forward. There'll be onesie twosies. But I'll definitely, make sure that I'm aware of that the next time I go, okay, is this some, I'll prompt those questions rather than waiting for that leadership. So,
Thanks. And thanks for the extra time and being willing to be pulled off consent at the last minute.
yeah, great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dave. Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting in just 1 second. Our next meeting is going to be January 9th, 2023. And before we go, I have a holiday joke. So all of you that stayed through the whole meeting, you get a little treat. Are you ready? It's good. If a gingerbread man breaks his leg, does he walk with a candy cane? Okay, we're adjourned.